What if everything you see, touch, and experience is merely a reflection of something far grander, something invisible? For millennia, mystics have hinted at unseen architects shaping our world. This video invites you to peer behind the veil with a unique Sufi lens, unveiling the hidden design behind your very existence. We place our faith in the solidity of the world. We trust the weight of the coffee cup in our hands, the unyielding certainty of the floor beneath our feet, the predictable rising of the sun. Our reality is built upon the evidence of our five senses. Yet there are moments that haunt the edges of this certainty, a profound synchronicity that feels too perfect to be chance, a flash of intuition that saves us from a wrong turn, a wave of awe upon seeing a sunset that feels less like a random celestial event and more like a personal message. These are the cracks in the facade of the ordinary, the whispers that suggest the world we perceive is not the whole story. Modern physics, in its own way, has begun to echo this ancient suspicion. At the quantum level, the solid, predictable world dissolves into a shimmering, indeterminate dance of probabilities. Matter is not solid at all, but a concentration of energy in a vast, unseen field. What we perceive as reality is merely the surface layer, the visible foam on a deep and mysterious ocean. This is not a new idea. It is in fact an ancient one, and for centuries, the Sufi masters, the great explorers of the inner cosmos, have been drawing a detailed map of that ocean and the unseen currents that shape our world. This journey is not about abandoning science or reason. It is about integrating them with a form of knowing that is just as rigorous but far more ancient. It is an invitation to learn to see the world not just with your eyes, but with your soul. To begin this journey, we must first introduce the Sufi lens, a way of perceiving reality that is less a religion and more a path to inner understanding, a science of the soul. At the heart of this perspective is the concept of al-ghaib, often translated as the unseen. But in the Sufi understanding, the unseen is not a dark, empty void. It is the exact opposite. It is the ultimate reality, a realm teeming with light, with intelligence, with purpose, and with overwhelming activity. It is the source code from which our sensory world is rendered moment by moment. The great Greek philosopher Plato, in his famous allegory of the cave, gave us a powerful metaphor for this. He imagines humanity as prisoners chained in a cave, able to only see the flickering shadows of real objects projected on the wall in front of them. They mistake these shadows for reality, having never seen the true forms that cast them. For the Sufis, our physical sensory world is that shadow play on the wall. Al-Ghaib, the unseen, is the world of brilliant, real forms outside the cave. The spiritual journey, then, is the process of breaking the chains of sensory attachment and turning our heads to glimpse the source of the light.
A more intimate metaphor used by the Sufi masters is that of an intricately woven tapestry. The reality we experience is the front of the tapestry. We see the beautiful colors, the images, the characters, the events of our lives playing out. It appears coherent, but we often cannot understand why one thread appears where it does, or why a dark patch of sorrow suddenly interrupts a field of golden joy. The Sufi is a seeker who learns to peer behind the tapestry. On the back, the true artistry is revealed. Here, one can see all the knots, the hidden connections, the places where a single thread from the bottom connects to a dozen different places on the top. One can see the grand pattern, the hidden architecture, the intentional design that is completely invisible from the front. The events of our lives, which seem so random and disconnected from our limited perspective, are revealed from the back of the tapestry to be part of a single, breathtaking, and purposeful design. But if reality is a tapestry, then who are the weavers? Who are the unseen architects? This question brings us to the heart of the Sufi worldview, to the concept of the divine names, or Asma al-Husna. In mainstream religion, these names of God, like the merciful, the just, the creator, are often treated as abstract, static concepts, titles in a celestial directory. For the Sufis, this is a profound misunderstanding. The divine names are not nouns, they are verbs. They are not abstract titles, they are living, breathing, dynamic forces. They are the active principles of existence, the foundational algorithms of reality, the unseen architects, who are constantly shaping every atom and every event in the cosmos. These architects are not distant or remote. They are intimately and perpetually involved in the orchestration of every moment. When you experience an act of forgiveness or unexplainable compassion, you are not just witnessing a human emotion, you are witnessing a direct manifestation, a reflection of Ar-Rahman, the infinitely merciful. When you feel a surge of creative energy, a new idea that seems to come from nowhere, you are being touched by Al-Khaliq, the Creator, the force that is constantly bringing existence out of non-existence. When your life falls apart, when your plans crumble, and you feel broken, you might then experience the subtle, powerful work of Al-Jabbar, the Restorer, the divine principle that mends what is shattered and brings order out of chaos.
To see the world through this lens is to fundamentally shift your perception of your own life. Your personal challenges and opportunities are no longer random, meaningless events in a cold, indifferent universe. They are your personal curriculum in a divine university. A difficult person in your life might cease to be just an antagonist and become a manifestation of As-Sabur, the patient, an architect sent to teach you the art of forbearance. A sudden financial loss may be a painful but necessary intervention from Al-Mani, the withholder, designed to detach your heart from the transient and reorient it toward the eternal. A moment of profound beauty that stops you in your tracks is a love letter from Al-Musawwir, the fashioner of forms. Life becomes a dynamic, intimate conversation with these unseen architects. The question is no longer, why is this happening to me? But rather, which divine quality is revealing itself through me in this moment, and what is it trying to teach? This understanding unveils a symphony of profound interconnectedness. In this framework, nothing is truly separate. Every atom, every thought, every choice you make is a note in a vast cosmic composition. The divine names are not separate architects working on different projects. They are the harmonic principles of a single, unified symphony. Your own heart, your own consciousness is an instrument in this orchestra. The problem is that most of us are playing our instrument unconsciously, creating dissonance and noise because we cannot hear the rest of the music. The spiritual path, then, is the process of learning to listen. It is the journey of kashf, or unveiling, the gradual lifting of the veil of the senses to become aware of these unseen layers of reality. This unveiling is not achieved through intellectual argument, but through spiritual practice and contemplation, the quieting of the egoic mind, the polishing of the heart through remembrance and presence, and the cultivation of a deep, listening stillness. It is in that stillness that you begin to perceive the subtle harmonies, to feel the resonance of the divine names vibrating through the fabric of your own being. You begin to sense the pattern on the back of the tapestry. This is the ultimate empowerment. To understand this hidden architecture is to move from being a passive victim of circumstance to a conscious, co-creative participant in the grand design. You realize that while you may not control the overall composition of the symphony, you have complete mastery over how you play your own note. You can play it with anger and resistance, creating dissonance, or you can play it with surrender, with beauty, and with love. adding to the harmony of the whole. This is the meaning of a purposeful life, to consciously align your own will with the beautiful, compassionate, and wise will of the unseen architects, and to become a clear, pure channel for their divine qualities to manifest in the world. Now, let us bring this vast cosmic idea into the quiet, intimate space of your own experience. For this is not a philosophy to be merely understood, but a reality to be perceived.
Find a comfortable position. Close your eyes and let the rhythm of your breath be your anchor. Let go of the complex theories and simply rest in the stillness of this moment. I want you to bring to mind a single, recent event from your life. It can be small or large. A moment of unexpected joy, a frustrating obstacle, a gentle conversation, a feeling of anxiety. Choose one thread from the front of your tapestry. First, observe this event from your normal, everyday perspective. See it as something that happened to you. Notice the feelings associated with this view. Perhaps feelings of pride, of victimhood, of confusion, or of happiness. This is the view from the front of the tapestry, the perception of the separate self. Now, with a gentle act of imagination, I invite you to peer behind the tapestry. Ask a new question about this event. Which unseen architect was at work here? What divine quality was revealing itself? If the memory was of a frustrating obstacle, could you see it not as a roadblock, but as a lesson from Almani, the preventer, protecting you from a path that was not for you? If the memory was of a moment of creative breakthrough, could you feel the touch of Al-Badi, the originator, the source of all novelty? If the memory was of a simple, quiet moment of peace, could you recognize the presence of As-Salam, the source of peace, wrapping your heart in its gentle embrace? Do not force an answer. Simply hold the question and remain open. Allow your heart, not your mind, to feel for the resonance, the subtle signature of the divine quality that was present in that moment. What you are doing is practicing the art of spiritual reframing. You are learning to see the unseen in the seen, the sacred in the mundane. This is the beginning of the unveiling.
To embrace the unseen is to begin living in a new reality. We have journeyed from questioning the surface of things to discovering the profound depths of the Sufi perspective. A universe that is not a random collection of matter, but a living, breathing, and deeply intentional poem. The path to perceiving these forces begins with simple shifts in your daily life. First, practice the ritual of reframing. At the end of each day, take 2 minutes to reflect on one event and ask, which architect was at work? Give a name to the unseen force you experienced. This slowly retrained your brain to look for the pattern behind the events. Second, cultivate stillness. The unseen is not perceived in noise, but in silence. Dedicate just 5 minutes a day to sitting in quiet contemplation with no goal other than to listen to the silence. It is in this silence that the subtle music of the cosmos can be heard. Third, look for interconnectedness. See the world not as a collection of separate objects, but as a single, unified web of relationships. See how the kindness of a stranger, the blooming of a flower, and the feeling in your own heart are all threads of the same magnificent tapestry. The world is not a machine. It is a message, written in a language of symbols and events. The architects are always at work. The symphony is always playing. The tapestry is always being woven. The only question is whether we have the eyes to see and the ears to hear the magnificent design.